Hello, friends. Welcome to another episode of Finance to CFO podcast. And today we have Miss Yogita Tewani with us, and a remarkable lady. She became a CA only at the age of 20 years. My brother is a CA, my niece is a CA, and I know how difficult it is to become a CA. And she became a CA at the age of 20 years only, and then she started her career. Next year, she started her career with Suzlon Energy. Then she was at Syngenta, a MNC company. Then she was at Tata Steel, and then currently she is global PMO at UPL. So welcome Yogita. Thanks for giving us time.
Thank you, Mr. Amit, for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
So I want to start with that. How come at a young age you became a global PMO at such a high post in finance industry? But before that, so why did you decide to choose finance? Why
Sure,
finance only? Why did you decide to become a CA?
sure. I'll start my journey. I'll take back through, my journey of how I started. So, in all my family, all the members, they're either doctors or engineers. I was the first one to pick up commerce that way. And, you know, after doing very great in 10th, everyone was like, why you're picking up commerce? Like, you should ideally be picking up science with the, amount of academics colors that I have gotten. But there was always a fascination towards number. There was always a connect with problem solving, which I believed is a great platform when you do either a chartered accountancy or you do MBA. You not only solve the case studies, but you also add value to the organization. So that is where it started very early in the age. And then the journey started to do the graduation and then to a chartered accountant.
Very nice. So, see, this is so pertinent because a finance professional or a CFO or a global PMO is supposed to be the person who can look at the problem, like you mentioned, problem solving, who can
Yeah,
look at the inherent problem, uh, whether he or she walks into a sales meeting or maybe at the production level where the production is going on, or at the board meeting,
yeah,
and immediately find out what are the cost implications of the things which are happening at the factory level, shop floor level, at the sales meetings, for example, at the
correct.
board meeting. So like you said, that problem solving. So how
Yes.
powerful is this aspect of finance professionals solving almost every problem in the organization? How are
Correct.
they so equipped to do that? So some thoughts on that before we move on to your secrets of success, Yogita.
Sure. No, I think you really picked up well in terms of finance is not only limited to these days now, into a cabin or a corner office, but it is how you actually deal with the sales team. How do you deal with the shop floor, manufacturing? The role now is dynamic and moving on how the value is created by an individual with the integration.
Correct.
I remember when I started the career, it was more like you have to deliver the numbers on time. You have to close the books, let's say, on a specific work day. That was job of CFO. But now it has moved towards how you are doing the improvement in the business, how well you are connected to the sales, how often you deal with the HR, IT. So it's more of an integrated role these days than a standalone role, I would say.
Mhm.
uh, and I believe the value chain which is there end to end, if you don't understand where the product is getting manufactured, if you don't understand how the raw material is procured,
Mhm.
then and even to the customer, like if you don't have the reach to the customer, till the time you don't understand from the goods to the final customer, I think the job is still not done. So it is all interconnected, and the value chain gets created only when you have input on each of the processes.
Correct. So generally, like you said, it is believed that finance professionals are geek. They are financial geeks and they just sit in front of the laptop or they just analyze the balance sheet. But so how, like you said, that today they have to understand business. So how should a finance professional know more about all the different aspects of business, whether it's operations, whether it's sales, whether it's law? How should they go about it, Yogita?
Sure. Because I think today's generation is well equipped in terms of the resources that they have. Now we have various tools, all the web information which is available, like click of a button. So I think it's the ocean that anybody really wants to research, they can at least do the groundwork themselves. Once that is clear, I believe the second step is also to put yourself out there and also connect with various stakeholders. I mean, we should not be shy to not meet somebody at the supply chain. We should
Mhm.
not be shy to talk about our point of view with the marketing team.
Mhm.
Um, Putting up your point. And I believe people these days are quite adaptable in terms of having a conversation. The culture and all the organization have become so open that you can have 10 questions, just go and ask. Nobody really have that in mind that a junior or an intern is coming. I recently hired like 7 interns from Chartered Accountant CMA Institute.
Mhm.
Uh, all of them now have, they are so vocal that they will ask, ma'am, why do we produce this product,
Oh,
yeah. So they know the brand, they know the product, and they ask question about the detailing. So it gives an immense satisfaction that they're not just doing the technical side of it, but they know the brand, they know the product, what is the application. So I think one, I'll put it, summarize it, that curiosity is important. Second is the self drive, how much you can research on your own.
mhm.
And third is to do and put yourself out there. And, even if the question is wrong, maybe just ask. Asking, I mean, the worst it is the no, right? But then, it gives an opportunity to learn and talk about it.
Very nice. So now coming to how you became reach such a high level in finance so early in your career. So I mean, we would talk about your secrets of success, but to start with, how did you learn about all the various aspects of business, whether it's sales, it's manufacturing, it's other operations? Could you take us through those incidents in life where you learned about business processes?
Um, so one, I would say I've been, really fortunate to have great mentors in my journey.
Very nice.
Mentorship is something which is underrated today as well. But once you have like 2 3 mentors in the system who are of your field senior and they've seen various aspects of finance, I think you should really go back, uh, talk to them in terms of how they have experienced, and you can learn from that. How I have approached, this journey, like how I become finance business partner more than just a finance professional is, uh, one, doing more site visits, doing more,
Very
you
nice.
should ask the organization that, where all the operations are,
Mhm.
whether they can do a site visit, whether they can, travel, because traveling and actually seeing the location, what work is happening, gives a different view than just crunching the numbers here. I'll give an example of the current industry that I'm in. Uh, we have large manufacturing facilities in Gujarat, and there are more than 20,000 plus distributors. Uh, for a year or two, I was just seeing the numbers, like, um, fine, we are selling some products, there's some seasonality impact, because there is a like kharif, which is a larger season, then there is rabi, which is a smaller season. So the sales pattern was slightly different, like one month you'll have 40% sale, other month you'll have like a 5% sale. So when I realized that pattern, I thought it is important to also speak to the customer, like go to the farm and see that what is the view about the industry, how do they perceive it. And when the connection started, you start visiting 2 3 months, 2 3 times in a month, and you see that there is a great insight that the end user can provide a feedback to you.
Mhm.
So again, to summarize that, it's important to visit the location and not only sit in the office, talk to the end customer, and also speak to the vendors, like who you deal with, because uh, the improvement, process improvement, or overall the efficiency in the business you can get when you hear from people. So that is the core mantra that I follow in terms of doing that. And as opportunity gives, you should network more, speak to the industry experts, which will really help.
Very nice. So being a finance professional who are not expected to go on site visits, number one. Secondly, being a girl, again, people feel that, girls are more suited in the office. So you broke both those misconceptions, and you were actually going out on the field visits, talking to customers, talking to vendors. Very nice.
Yeah, yeah. Even when I was in Tata Steel, I mean, though it was more of a corporate role that I was doing, but there were opportunities to visit the iron mine. And iron mine, generally, the perception is like, it's more male-dominated industry. People don't go, but you'll be surprised to hear that some of the sites that Tata Steel has in East has more amount of females now working than men. So I was really happy to see that it's not only the office job that the diversity is improving, but even at the mine and shop floor as well.
So coming back to that example of the current organization where Gujarat 20,000 distributors and sale would vary from 40% to 5%. So
Yeah.
how did your visit or how did your personal intervention, how did that result in improvement in productivity? Some example on or some thoughts on
So
that.
So one of the recent example, like the industry that I'm in, there are a lot of players in India, and the industry is very fragmented. There are startups now, and there are a lot many players that has come in the startup page and the agri-tech space in India. So now the important decision is to retain the market share. That how do you retain
Hmm.
and increase? Like one is the retention because there are a lot many players now.
Correct.
So the feedback from customer, like we got in terms of how digitally other organization, are adopting. For example, one of the customers said that closing balance confirmation that happens every month. It is still a manual process.
Hmm.
Somebody will call, somebody will confirm,
Hmm.
and it takes 2-3 days of time. There are a lot of tech startups who have come, and even the competitors now have gone to an app wherein you can see the customer profile. You
Yeah.
can see end-to-end journey of a customer.
Hmm.
So we took that feedback, came back and created app for them, which is as on today working really well. So I think it's also the feedback that you get and how do you implement, because we are living now in a tech and AI world. So uh, there will be requests from customers to do so, which improve the productivity now. The timing to give the confirmation, the ease of doing the business has really.
Very nice. So see, this is so powerful, Yogita, because I have worked in the corporate world in, big companies, Reliance, ICICI, HP. So when people from other departments are actually going and helping smoothen the process so that the client and the vendors are happy, it motivates salespeople so much
Yeah.
because the complaints go down and they can push more stock to the vendors, to the distributors, because if their complaints are getting solved, they are happy, so they tend to listen to the, I mean, it creates, it's so powerful. I like hearing this so much as a sales guy.
Yeah, I think sales is, of course, the front end job. But, I always say that, how do you integrate and be closer to sales is important, and not like, going far, because there was a perception that, initially that whenever we go to finance, the first answer is no, they'll
Correct.
take time, right? That is what we have been hearing. But
Correct.
now, how quickly you can turn it around, how agile you are to move closer to the sales and help them, then it becomes more integrated than working in silos.
Very nice. So this was from the sales perspective. Any other example you would like to share, maybe from the manufacturing or from operations or from any other division which is not related to finance directly, Yogita?
Yeah. Now I'll also take an example of Syngenta when I was working in. Um, it is a big organization. When I was working, it was around 20 billion plus US dollar. So big organization having headquartered outside of India. Uh, there was this issue in terms of doing the forecast. Uh, like for example, that there are multiple iteration in the forecast. We are doing closing the forecast every quarter. So we are starting that 3 weeks back. So sales marketing team will have a meeting. They'll give us the numbers.
Mhm.
Then there'll be some changes. So there were 4 5 iterations before the forecast gets closed.
Mhm.
Um, there were questions in terms of why we are taking so much time, and if we are taking time, then it has to be accurate. Like when we are doing an actual versus forecast, uh, if we are taking this much time, the expectation is also to deliver.
Correct.
Uh, then I remember speaking to the commercial team, like, what is the reason? Like, what is it really happening that one, it's delay, and second, we have inaccuracy.
Mhm.
Um, they mentioned that we have to, one, apart from seasonality, also understand the new product launches. We also need to understand, the efficiency of the product, or when we are placing the product. When the requirement, let's say, of product is in October, are we placing it in Jan?
Mhm.
So the commercial team also gave a perspective in terms of how the placement and sale can be linked.
Mhm.
Second, in terms of the new product launch, what should be the strategy to do that?
Very good.
So when we, factored in all of these external factors in the forecast, then we could see that the efficiencies improved, also the time. So
Mhm.
I mean, the reason I gave this example was to also understand the pain areas of the commercial team,
Very nice.
the operation team.
Mhm.
It's not just that, for us, it's the matter of closing books on 30th or 31st. That doesn't mean that, we'll push them. One is to, help them in terms of, the product, how the product placement is happening. So you really have to deep dive and understand their pain areas, and, then improve it. Like, how do they face the challenge when the warehouse space is less? Then what do you do? And maybe you can produce it, slightly delay and have a just in time, placement of the product, and not, then we don't need the space really for placing the product. So when, we really changed that mechanism, we could see the improvement, and really help the commercial and the operation teams as well.
Very nice. Very nice. Very powerful. So, like you mentioned, I find this statement again so powerful that finance professionals are more than finance professionals. They are the finance business partners, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Because this is how so many organizations they prefer to have the finance person as the CEO also, because
correct.
he's the one or she's the one who knows everything about all the departments, because people like you who are making a difference to all the department, it is so powerful for the younger finance professionals who would be listening to
Correct.
this podcast, Yogita.
Correct. No, Amit, you really touched a great point in terms of transitioning of CFO to CEO. It was unheard of, I would say. Initially CFO will retire as a CFO, right? I'll give an example of Mr. P. Balaji, CFO of Tata Motors. Uh, he last year, I believe, got transitioned to CEO of Jaguar. Um, he has done immense work in finance domain while he was in Tata Motors, but his transition to such a larger organization as CFO, is a testimony that finance is not only finance, but they can really drive business. And even to the listeners, like the transition is really happening fast these days, and we have a lot many examples.
Very nice. So all the finance professionals listening to this, learn from this, have the curiosity, like Yogita mentioned, have the self drive, and have the confidence to ask questions, and you can become CEO of an organization. So very powerful.
Thank you.
All right. So what have been the, apart from the business side of it, knowing about sales, knowing about operations, knowing about all the other things, IT, etc. What have been the other secrets of success, Yogita, which have catapulted you so fast into such a senior post?
So, what I believe, discipline.
Very nice.
Discipline is the core factor of success. I mean, there's no replacement. There were times when you'll feel that in this world of technology and smart work and all of that, you can achieve things, but there's no replacement of discipline. We have seen examples of athletes, to the CEOs and MD of startups like Meta, Amazon, that they follow a schedule, they follow the routine. The routine can be boring, but once you really have that, bullseye, the target that you have, you really have to do with the discipline. So I believe that is not replaceable at all with anything. Even let's say for next 50 years, I would say
Correct.
discipline will be the core success mantra. So yeah, I believe one is that. Second is also to network. Networking initially was linked with the fact that somebody will help you finding a job, or somebody will help you uh, to maybe there was a benefit uh, linked to the networking. But I would say we are moving towards a different era wherein networking is not only limited to that somebody will help you out. But networking is also, you start learning from somebody else.
Right.
Um, we attend, a lot of seminars, webinars, conferences, not only just to, meet people, be in connect, but also what experience is coming from and what value he has, created in the career and how he's explaining it. So the knowledge which is shared by a person is always, carries a weight than what we learn and have a textbook reading. So that is there, like networking, but networking with or without, having a context of having benefit. Just not only think that somebody will really help you out.
Correct.
Yeah, that is there. And the last one I want to put is, the ethics. Um,
Very nice.
all, the 11 years of experience that I have, ethics is something that you have to, put above all the factors. I mean, that is again a non-negotiable, um, because once you have that ethical values in yourself, then only you can perform better. With a malintention or, with, something else in mind, you will not be able to perform and deliver. So in whatever field you are, either it's an entrepreneur or organization, the ethics should be the highest value that anybody carries.
Very nice. So I want to talk about learning, but before that, learning is so powerful. Before that, like you mentioned, ethics. See, generally, the world is moving towards an environment where it is said that, or general perception is that you have to be smart, you have to be clever, you have to learn how to fool others. You have to be able to take those shortcuts. You have to be good at politics because otherwise. But like you mentioned, ethics, and I sincerely believe that unless you are ethical, it is very difficult to move ahead in life. So some thoughts that in case, see, over the course of my journey, in corporate world, I worked for 15 years, and it has been 29, 28 years since I started working. I've seen so many people who reach the level of mid-level management, but because they were taking shortcuts, so initial rise may be very fast. They would
Yeah,
rise faster, but then they would not grow beyond the mid-level or somewhere between mid-level to senior level. But on the other hand, when you try to explain this to a younger person, and me myself, even though I never tried doing those things, but I used to find it very difficult that why is somebody else rising faster who's taking these shortcuts, and why am I not able to do it, and what is the benefit, and why should I, so that self doubt would start creeping in.
yeah,
So some thoughts on that, Yogita, on why ethics are so powerful.
sure. No, I think that's a great question and too relevant in today's world because the world is changing fast than what we would have imagined. Uh, ethics, I would say, is a cornerstone of individual's life. It doesn't reflect that, how and what you're performing at work, but also about, yourself. Um, I generally do a test, when I meet somebody, is that when you meet and you can see that somebody is, just talking about, themselves, or, somebody, is glorifying themselves, then I really ask that, when you go back home, are you in the same mood, or do you carry the same weight when you're home? And Indra Nui really said well. Her book mentioned that, when she have won 3 for award, she was going back home in the night, and the mother-in-law asked, "Have you got the milk?" Right. So she said that I was really pissed that I'm coming after, receiving 3 great awards, and the first question I was asked that whether I've got the milk. Then that gives a view that whatever you can achieve in life in a corporate journey, but as a human, you will always carry your personality trait not only in the organization but outside as well. Um, it's a great thought for all of us that uh, there can be, somewhere the journey can be plus minus, there can be ups and downs. You will always reflect back that somebody is going fast, somebody is, earning more, somebody is in different organization. But when you have your self confidence, when you believe in yourself, I believe there is no other way that somebody can, stop you. So coming from a good heart, coming from, a place of well-being for yourself and others, is irreplaceable.
Very nice. So the next question immediately which comes to my mind, Yogita, is at the younger age, and especially when we are starting the first few years, when we haven't tasted success as yet, you know, the self confidence is very low,
Yeah.
and the self doubt starts creeping in. So at that stage, what were the tools you use which you would like to share to build in self confidence, to build in that self belief?
Sure. So this I link to the iceberg theory. If you'll see, in iceberg, it is said that there is a, deep down some glaciers, and then you can just see top of it. There is an iceberg, right? Uh, People appreciate that piece, but they don't see
The
the
hard
amount
work.
of hard work, the time, and the efforts that has gone.
Correct.
Uh, so that is exactly the point. Like, how to deal with the self confidence, you have to work on yourself a lot initially. It's
Correct.
not only at the work, you have to practice it daily. The
Mhm.
way you speak, let's say if somebody is having stage fright, somebody is having, public speaking, they're a little afraid to talk in the public forums,
Mhm.
specifically, somebody is just starting the career. I would
Correct.
say to practice the content 2 3 times on your own before you actually deliver. Because again, like I said, discipline. The second practice that I also follow is practicing.
Correct.
Even at this age, at this point in time, whenever there is some presentation, I'll at least try to reflect back in terms of the flow, the communication, and how you will talk. So practice is one of the factor that you know is one of the tools that people can use. Second, now these days there are a lot of like I said, we are living in the tech world. There are YouTubes, there are different channels wherein you can also learn about how to be a great orator, how to be how to put up your point in conferences and forums wherever you talk. So also learn and help, use the help of the technology and the resources that are openly available. And at the end, if you still feel that these two are still not really perfect, you still need to further enhance it. I would say seek help from your senior, seek help from somebody who's experienced and you look up to. Ask and learn how they have done it. So these three will be a combination that somebody can really build the self confidence.
And like you mentioned, mentors, because you said
Yeah.
that you're lucky to have good mentors, like seniors you're mentioning now. So a person, how to go about getting mentors so that they can tell a person what are the weaknesses or the gaps which a person has, which can be used by practice or by online tools or by talking to other people to improve. So some thoughts on that, the mentors.
Sure. So mentors, like, when I started my career, I was, also messaging people on LinkedIn who are seniors that, if you can help me, can we just talk for 5 minutes, how you have, navigated your journey. So initially I used to like cold message on LinkedIn a lot. There were failures. I would not say that I was not able to. I was able to get the mentor on day one. It's a journey. Like you have to keep on investing. You have to keep on. Not only like I said initially with the benefit, but also in terms of contribution, like how you can also contribute to them. So just keep. There are ways now. There is LinkedIn. There are other educational forums where you can meet seniors. Also in the organization, if you feel that, for example, I'm in finance, it's not only that I should have mentor in finance. You can also see somebody in sales. The sales head can be your mentor. They can be CHRO who can be your mentor. So go and talk to them in terms of if they can spare, like, let's say 30 minutes, uh, even a 30-minute time with a senior, if you spend in a month, really gives visible results, I would say. So these are the techniques that somebody can have a mentor. And also the last one is to carry your relationships not only while you change the organization, but carry the people that you have earlier. Keep in touch, and it's a journey. Organization can move here and there, but it's a career journey, so you can carry the people along that you have worked with.
Very nice. So see the thing, another two things. Your answers are so knowledgeable, also full of insights, Yogita, that they are leading me to so many various questions. Which, whereas I already have so many other questions in mind, but quickly. So LinkedIn, it is so powerful, and people do not use LinkedIn, which is such a
Yeah.
powerful tool. And like you mentioned that you would ask people for mentoring or for insights or guidance. It is so very powerful. I'm so very impressed. Secondly, relationships. See, currently again in the world that we are living in, where we are connected to lakhs of people, maybe tens of thousands of people, But those relationships, like you mentioned, that you follow up with those relationships even after leaving the job, it is so
Yeah.
very powerful because people see something as a means to an end, somebody as a means to an end, that how can he or she benefit in my career journey, not trying to actually build a relationship. So,
Yeah.
how have this habit of building relationships, how has it helped you, Yogita, in your career? Because some thoughts on this, because so that people realize that how powerful this is.
Yeah. No, again, a great question in terms of softer aspect of the career. Uh, Relationships, maintaining them and nurturing them, it also depends on a collaboration. This is a more collaboration than one person driving it.
Correct.
Um, like I'm reiterating it again that we should not have a mindset of getting benefit from somebody. We should also feel that somebody needs a help, then you can step in, irrespective of the designation, irrespective of how junior or senior you are. How you can step in, put your hand forward to help. Because then people don't remember the times that you have reached late office and all of that, but they'll always remember that when was that time when you really had put forward your hand to help.
Correct.
So that is how I believe relationships, even in the professional journey, are made. And it's always good to connect. Like we have the closed mindset of just networking in your organization that you're working with, but also important to with the events these days. I mean, we all are living in the fortunate time that like there are some finance forums happening, there are institutes, like when I completed my chartered accountancy, I never used to go back to the institute earlier, but now I've started attending the session from last 3-4 years, that there is somebody speaking about a concept, may not be directly linked. Let's say somebody is speaking on GST.
Mhm.
uh, I'm not a tax person, not a technical, but I'll just go and see that what I can learn, and also meet the fellow colleagues there. So these are some of the ways that relationship can be maintained. So just keep your mind open and move forward.
Correct. Very powerful. And need to work on the relationship. Like you mentioned that keep in touch. So some effort has to be put in into doing that.
Definitely.
Very nice. And helping people. Again, this is so powerful because generally the common wisdom is that do not help people unless they have helped you, and give and take
Mhm.
kind of a relationship, but you are going beyond that. They just help
Yeah.
for the sake of helping. So very powerful. So we had started on this line of discussion through the confidence, building a confidence. Some
Yeah.
examples in your career where you spoke out in meetings, and you actually made a difference to the company decisions, or it helped in the improving productivity. Some examples if you could share on that, Yogita.
Sure. So I think one of the most difficult part, as a finance professional, everybody faces that they'll be good in functional knowledge, they'll be good technically, but when it comes to speaking, when it comes to have a confidence, I think a lot of us, get shaky when it comes to really speak in the bigger meetings, or when there are a lot of seniors, board members, audit committee members, who sits with us. Uh, One or two examples I would like to give was, there was one budget discussion that was happening, and there were all the senior leaders sitting in when the 5-year planning was getting done for the organization. Um, then I could see that the overhead cost was, the budget was slightly higher,
Okay.
and generally in the discussion, like people generally try to be a little conservative, like you let us keep some cushion,
Correct.
anything can come up, we'll have a buffer to manage the extraordinary cost that can come in. um, I was just listening and listening to the rationale that they were giving, that there can be an uncertainty, we are in a volatile time, macro volatilities there and all of it, so let's keep some buffer, which is not wrong. But there was a, for example, the SG&A to the revenue percentage, for example, is 10%,
Mhm.
which we have seen a historical trend. But when it comes to the budget, it was taken as a 15%, which was like a 5% increase. Um, when then I started asking the breakup of that bridge, like what is the 5% increase really leading to?
Mhm.
There were answers, of course, the normal inflation, the extra manpower cost, promotion, advertisement cost that will fit in, but there was still not really a firm answer in terms of, sum of the portion. Um, then the question that I asked, one, give a rational. If there is no rational, then let's not keep it, because uh, if somebody doesn't have a backup, somebody doesn't have a rational, then there's no point in just keeping buffer for the sake of keeping it.
Correct.
So speaking of, then I felt that then the reworking was done. We again had a meeting after a week,
Very
and then there was a clear rational. So I was not against that 2% higher increase, but I was against that the rational has to be there, which really helped for longer term in terms of the way the presentations were made or the way the bridge was made from 10 to 15%. So that was one of the examples that I still recall back, that ask, and if there are no answers, then maybe let's not accept the way it is.
very powerful. It's so very powerful, and the younger professionals who would be listening to this would feel so empowered. Is there any? So you see, you have worked with Indian companies, you have worked with MNC, you have worked with a so big a employee-friendly brand like Tata's. So would you? How should you go about? Should you ask your questions in every environment, or should you be more diplomatic? Some guidance on how to go about it so that it's not misconstrued as over exuberance or something.
So no, I think that again a great perspective in terms of when to speak, when not to speak,
Very
right?
nice.
Uh, I've come across a lot of people now working in different organization, that I've seen various kinds of speakers, like somebody who's very vocal, have thought on every question, and somebody who is just sitting uh, across the meeting, just silent and idle. So knowing when to speak and what to speak is a really conscious call that everyone needs to do it. Are you just speaking in the meeting for the sake of speaking? Is it the point that you're making, or is it just you're repeating something, or maybe just point which somebody has already made? So there has to be a balance. People will hear you when you are putting something different than what it is not said earlier. If you will just speak, then there can also be a perception that somebody is just speaking like that. And if you're not speaking at all, then it is also perceived that somebody doesn't have a perspective, or somebody doesn't even understand it. So maintaining a balance always in the meeting, let's say it's a 1 hour meeting, I would construct it in a way that let the speaker speaks first. Let us not intervene, because somebody should complete the point. And when the forum is open for question and answer, or when there are some discussion, maybe raise your hand, maybe raise and step forward and say, I need to make a point. Be little firm while putting up the point, so that you have the attention from the entire audience or the meeting that is happening. But the point that you are making has to be different. The point that you are actually making is not repetitive. It's not something that is not making value. So that is where it is. But again, making your presence felt in the meeting is one of the great tool, because that's how the recognition also happens within the system. But always do the homework, that what is the context. Always go in the meeting prepared, so
Very
that you are just not blabbering about things which are already said. Then you will have a more context, and then you can speak up better.
This is so very powerful, Yogita, because you knew that the historical trend is 10%, and there
Yeah,
they've taken a figure of 15%. Had you not known that, had your preparation not been that thorough, then
yeah,
instead of sounding intelligent or looking after the company's interests, it would have sounded as a bad quality. So that is so powerful. So do your homework, do your hard work, and then speak out in case it can benefit the organization. Take a better decision. So very powerful, Yogita. Now, coming to a career in finance, can it be planned? How should it be planned? For the first few years, finance also has different subdomains, for example.
yeah,
So, in case a young finance professional is looking to reach the level of CFO,
yeah.
is there any planning which they can do that for the first 5 years, maybe I'll do this, next 5 to 10 years, I'll do this,
Sure.
and then some thoughts on that, Yogita.
Sure. So finance overall as a domain is changing a lot, specifically with technology getting integrated with the function.
Mhm.
So I would say people who are just starting into finance, who are just taking up the journey, spend at least 20-30% of your time and the bandwidth in terms of learning about the tech, because that will give you a sharper edge compared to others. So the journey, let's say somebody is doing first 10 years in a domain, and then 10 to 20 you target to become a general manager or moving to a CFO thing. I think that journey and the timeline is gradually short. Like I could see that becoming a CFO earlier was when you were in late 40s or early 50s, but
Correct.
now it's at least 10 years tracked down. Now people can also be CFO at the age of 30. I've seen CFOs even at the age of 28 for that matter. Uh, so uh, and what is the differentiator, like how they are becoming CFO, is they're not only just doing what is said to them, but doing an extra. Now the extra can be either a technological front, that you pick up something you can pick up in terms of enhancing your knowledge. There's specialized courses. Somebody wants to be in investment banking, then they can take up CA plus CFA. Somebody is interested in doing and becoming a, let's say, a legal or a compliance officer, then they can do CACS and LLB. So
Mhm.
also think in terms of how the person wants to drive and become what in their career. Let's say what is somebody wants to do CFO, then it's important that they take part and they take the entire career journey in different forums. It's not only in, let's say, controllership. They also need to know corporate restructuring, M&A. They should also know a bit of audit and tax. So how you touch base in your career, spend 2 to 3 years in each of the domain, complete that cycle, understand each function, and be ready for becoming CFO. Of course, I get a lot of question that what if we don't get such opportunity? Like, let's say I'm in audit, I can be in audit for 10 years. How do I change it? Changing the industry, changing the domain. I would say the opportunity these days are, really available. Let's say if you are in audit and you want to get into industry,
Mhm.
you can always start as a controller, because, or you can be in a corporate side in an internal audit team,
Mhm.
so that you can, with the same domain experience, you can move from an audit firm to a corporate.
Correct.
Similarly, if somebody is in corporate and wants to do get into an audit firm, they can always have a subject matter expert. Let's say somebody is a chemical expert in finance, they have worked across the career, then they can also have domain in private equity. They can go into private equity as a subject matter expert of finance plus the chemical. So now the boundaries that earlier we had is slightly getting uh, removed in terms of how we can become either CFO. Now there has been a journey of even Syngenta, for that matter. The current CEO was also CHRO earlier. And then it was unheard of, CHRO to CEO, but then people do that.
Very nice, very powerful. So technology again, how can young finance professionals, they should get more technological oriented? So because generally it is felt that you just need basic technological knowledge, but now it is growing so fast. So some thoughts on that. How can they increase their technological knowledge? How can they use technology to do their work better?
So So again, it boils down to the resources, how well you are using. I'll give an example, like the intern that we were talking about. I
Mhm.
told somebody to make an automated report of a market, let's say of the share closing, volume traded, and all of that. Uh, that person coded himself, not coming from a technical background, with the help of AI, with the help of open resources, which generally we would not anticipate that somebody can from a finance background can code themselves. But now the resources are available in an immense number. The system and coding has become so simple that with the prompt you can code yourself and have the reports. So one is using the resources that is available, and if not, there is a lot of other academics. There are institutes who help with some certification, some course, maybe a month or two, that can also be done along with job. Let's say you have weekend classes, you can join that from a techno front, and why not add in to your day-to-day life. It helps not in terms of efficiency, but also you see that when you're learning something, when you apply, it is helping you than the organization. So in terms of saving the time, in terms of accuracy, in terms of uh, getting an in-depth understanding and knowledge of a subject. So that is where I would request everyone to not only do what is required for the job, but do something beyond that as well.
Very nice. See, you also mentioned that uh, uh, people becoming from different unexpected of domains like CHROs becoming CEOs. So, uh, how to handle the stakeholders, other department heads, so that you are able to work with them and your work is seen by the board, for example, who are the ones who appoint CEOs or so how to manage the other stakeholders, because as you rise at the senior level in any domain, whether you are in HR, you are in sales, you are in finance, you should know how to manage the other stakeholders also, because they
Yeah,
have also their own issues to or their own goals to meet. So some thoughts on that, Yogita.
sure. So I believe dealing with stakeholders, the only thing that I follow and helped me is in terms of delivery,
Very nice.
how you deliver, because uh, even the transition, let's say from a CFO to COE is CEO, or a CHRO to CEO, will happen only when you have proved yourself and have done a great delivery in your existing domain. Unless you have proved yourself in terms of the change that you have gotten in organization, which has to be tangible. Like somebody has like I was talking about Mr. Balji from Tata Motors. The
Hmm.
deleveraging happens, the balance sheet was, the debt was reduced around 50% in some years of time. That is a tangible benefit, outcome that not even in the organization people see, but also out of the organization. So when you do such tangible changes in the organization, people have the belief, they can trust you, that you will also bring in change in the domain that you are going in. So maybe follow a path of 0 to 90 days, like what
Mhm.
low hanging fruit you can pick up and deliver, and then maybe 90 to 180, like a slightly difficult or slightly longer task which you
Mhm.
can deliver. So uh, like delivery is the only thing that has worked.
Correct. Very powerful. Very powerful. So be good at what you do. Only then that is
Yeah.
the important thing, rather than taking shortcuts and all. See, another question which comes to mind is that people or uh, people at younger level, they have to learn. Like you said, you have to be good at what you do. You have to deliver. So people at the younger level, they have to learn how to be good at what they do.
Yeah.
And then we are talking about networking. We are talking about talking to mentors. We are talking about doing something extra, then and knowing about business side of it, site visits. So how, in today's scenario in metros, for example, traffic is another big problem which eats up a lot of time. Then there is pollution and so many other health related problems which bring down the productivity. So how can a young finance professional do all of this and succeed? Some thoughts on that. How do you manage?
So Uh, like a quote I remember while I was in school, I've said that, and somehow I don't have much memories, but this is the thought that has always struck: is the more we do, the more we can do. The more busy we are, the more leisure we have. Uh, we always underestimate, ourselves in terms of, let's say somebody is doing 8 hour job, then we are tired, we are not able to do and pick up extra curriculum, either work front or another front. Uh, I believe those are all, in a way, our internal excuses that we give ourselves. Uh, Humans have, like, an inherent great and strong capability to do what they desire to do and what they want to do.
Correct.
So, I mean, sky's the limit is a really good phrase that, whatever somebody can dream of, they can achieve. So, I think it's our perception. If we really want, we can, really deal with it and, achieve the best outcome.
Very nice. See, one more very important point, which generally, uh, uh, you know, uh, women, for example, there is a perception in the other people, and they also sometimes have this guilty conscience that if I'm taking away time from my family to devote to my career, I should not be doing it, because that is. But what generally CHROs, for example, lady CHROs I've talked to, so they say that you have a support system and ecosystem will help you do that, and you should not have that guilty feeling. So some thoughts on that, on why, how girls or ladies can remove that guilty feeling and they can rise in their career, do justice to their potential, Yogita.
So, no, I think I face that challenge as well. Like as you grow, you have to spend a lot amount of time at work, also at home, to balance it all. Uh, there are days when the work requires more than 100%. Then that those days are something that you have to spend less time on home, or maybe just keep that as at the back seat. But there are days when there are certain lean periods, then maybe you can step up and give more priority to home. So I believe you have to figure out each and every day that how you balance that situation out, and not like think that being guilty, like I'm not able to spend time at home. That's fine, but there are days when you're also able to recoup that time what you have lost, by recompensating to that. So I believe there'll be days and phase that people need to balance it out and work around that. Of course, there are difficulties for women leaders, because they have to deal. I mean, still, we are in the modern age, but there are certain responsibilities which are also there at home. But uh, thinking and that how you can balance those time out, how you can really change the roles, like the internal example I gave, that how do you quickly change the roles and balance is the key for the women that who, specifically the listeners who are there, who have that fear and the pressure in mind, that how do they do that. um, there are ways, there will be people to help you, you will find people, and the journey will be passed.
Very nice. And in case you're networking, you have mentors, they'll guide you. So don't have
Yeah.
this feeling, don't have that guilty feeling that you cannot do it, you should not do it. There will be ways, you'll be able to find ways. Very powerful. So over the course of your journey, which are the other specific instances, challenges that you had faced, and how did you overcome that? Or maybe there were failures also, because generally nobody likes to talk about, or in the common wisdom is that people don't like to talk about failures, but it's the failures which make a person. The so no, so anything, any challenge that you faced, any failure, and how did you become a better person, a better professional because of that, Yogita?
So, so, no, so this is a great example. Like I started when career in Suzlon. I was told to make a financial model, which was very detailed. I was working day in day out, thinking do the checks and balances. Like I need to give the best. Uh, this is the first time that there's an opportunity to speak to the general manager, to the vice president, and just preparing for a week to present. And on the same day, there was a mistake in the formula that I had
Oh.
done. Um and I was taken aback that I had spent so much of time, and when I'm presenting, why did it happen? Like whether I was not thorough, whether what really went wrong. I was just thinking back, deliberating and cursing myself of just not checking that, but I checked everything. Uh, but I take that learning always with me, that sometimes we come under pressure, when we are presenting initially. There are mistakes that we'll make, there will be proposals that may not work. As you go, there will be deals. For example, somebody needs to raise fund for a capex, for expansion. Let's say the expansion did not work out, then what? But it is important, I take it as a two-step journey. Like one, immediately accept it, what has went wrong.
Mhm.
Acceptance is a larger area, the larger pain that we all have to take when it is about the failure. So accept as soon as you realize that. And second, course correct it, so that you're not going all over the place and you're still doing the mistake. So you have to immediately reflect back and take the corrective action, then thinking and waiting on it. Let's say, fine, what will happen? Let us wait for 2 more years. Let us see if the expansion works out.
Mhm.
It doesn't. Like if you feel and if you have external validation that is not working fine, maybe just think and course correct, then spending more money on the expansion, or maybe thinking that it may work out someday.
Correct.
That's it.
So very powerful. Course correction rather than trying to defend the
Yeah.
mistakes. and giving excuses, accept and course correct. See, another very powerful insight that I'm looking for, or that generally people at the senior level like you share, is that uh, today's world is full of stress. And as you move ahead in the career, as you move forward in the career, the amount of stress to some extent increases. And like I mentioned about traffic, pollution, and relationship challenges, and so many other things, how to maintain or how to handle those challenges to keep a healthy mental mindset, or mental balance, so that you rise to the career faster. Some thoughts on that. How do you manage yourself physically and mentally to keep yourself fit, Yogita?
So, uh, no, I think very relevant to today's context because the stress always, carries with us, not only at the workplace, but even when we are home.
Correct.
Uh, See, I've seen a lot of leaders, like there was one of the bank's MD. Uh, I mean, you can imagine a bank's India MD will have, so much of pressure into the economy, how he's maintaining the balances and all of it. He is also a professional tabla player
Oh,
in India,
very nice.
very well known. Similarly, like I'll give an example from the recent one. Like in my organization, I have a vice president who is also a photographer, wildlife photographer. Uh, I've seen that apart from work, they also have a hobby to lean on to, because it's always important to cut off for some time, be as an individual what hobbies you want to pursue, and then be more energized to go back to work and do what you're good at. So these examples really motivate to do something apart from work. This
Mm.
is a small your mind space wherein you sneak out the time, do something for yourself, and then get back to it. So have a hobbies which is not related to work, which will help you to disconnect, is something has helped me also. Like I sketch and paint, so that is the time that I don't think about anything and just be myself.
Very powerful. So on this note, it has been around an hour, in fact, more than an hour since we started talking, Yogita. So we have to maintain the time limits also. So it has been a
uh,
pleasure. There have been so many insights. I'm sure our viewers, our listeners are going to learn a lot from this interaction. So thank you. Thanks for giving us time,
Thank
Yogita.
you so much, Amit, for having me. Thank you so much.